Hello, I'm the Eternal Newbie. The extra L is for logical, as in, I've just run through a module with the least logical party ever. Okay, maybe that's not fair. I mean, one of the warlocks said all the things they were doing were bad ideas. Didn't stop them, but at least he tried. I don't even want to get into what it means when a warlock is the voice of reason. You know, the guy who sold his soul for power? Yeah, that's the guy. Before I tell you the story of how the fighter did the Dungeons & Dragons equivalent of sticking a fork into an electrical socket, business first. If you're liking my video here, let me know with comments, likes, or especially subscribes. I've got bunches more videos, so check them out. I've also got a Discord, a Twitter, and another YouTube channel where I'm currently going through Final Fantasy VI. Info's in the video description. Have you ever met someone who just does the opposite of what common sense says? That's Johnson. I've talked about him before. He's the guy who had relations with and then got engaged to a giant queen bee. I gotta admit, at first, I didn't really like Johnson. The way he was always doing the dumbest things you could think of got on my nerves. But then, I found myself entertained by his insane antics, and he started to grow on me. You know, like a fungus. Well, Johnson is not in the story, but it's the same player, and he plays this character just the same. So I'm going to say it's Johnson's brother, who has the exact same amount of common sense as Johnson. Nada! This is going to be fun. Matter of fact, let's make a game out of this. How well do you know Johnson? Let me give you some free advice. In order to truly know Johnson, think to yourself, what would be the smartest thing to do in this situation? Then do the exact opposite. Ready? Let's play You Don't Know Johnson. In our first situation, the party has just defeated some monsters and found strange looking bone pillars. A quick investigation shows no real information other than they aren't attached to the ground and weigh, I don't know, around 100 pounds. These pillars are all over the place in the temple. Most of the party wants to move on. What do you think Johnson wanted to do? Since this is the first round, we'll make a multiple choice. Did Johnson want to A. perform a deeper investigation, taking a small sample? B. decide to go with the rest of the party to the next area? C. lick the bone pillar? Or D. attack the bone pillar? Did you guess anything but D? Then you don't know Johnson, because sure enough, he attacked it. When the bone pillar is destroyed, it blows up, doing 2d10 damage to anyone in 10 feet of it. The rest of the party was out of range, so Johnson took the damage. Lesson learned? Not if you know Johnson. In the next room, after dealing with the enemies, they explore the room. There were lots of places for Johnson to get in trouble here. But first, let's introduce the other contestants. After all, it's not just Johnson. We also have a druid, played by Gramps. Gramps and Johnson are friends, and by friends I mean Gramps agrees with Johnson's bad ideas, though stands way back. Kinda like I do in the game I play with Johnson. Then we had two warlocks, who I'll call Yin and Yang. One was a nice celestial, and the other was a less than nice hexblade, I think. Ying the celestial tried to talk Johnson out of his ideas. Yang the hexblade also encouraged Johnson. In this room, there were a few items of interest. First, there were 10 fonts full of blood and bone, which Johnson would later end up searching for a heart. But that wasn't really a bad idea, so next. There was an altar to Orcus, where the hexblade would later stab a beating heart. And there was a large vat of what looked like acid in the room. Given all this, guess where Johnson went first? Do you think he drank some blood? Took a nap on the altar? Or did he cannonball into the vat? He did none of this, but what he did was much worse. Let's play You Don't Know Johnson. Remember, think of the last thing you would do. That's Johnson. I'll even give you a hint. It involved two of the items in this room. Take a few seconds and think about it. Okay, this was a tough one. I didn't want to give you choices because it would have given it away. There are just so many good options to choose from. Did you guess Johnson picked up a pillar, you know, those exploding bone pillars, and threw it into the vat of acid? That's right, that's exactly what he did, and only Ying tried to talk him out of it. He splashed acid on everyone, but the damage was minimal. Mainly because I didn't want to kill the level 1s. Next, they need to go through the double doors to the inner sanctum. I talked more about this puzzle in my other video. If you're interested, I'll throw the link in the description. This group solved the puzzle when Yang sacrificed a beating heart on the altar of Orcus. You know, not to be outdone. They enter and find an interesting sight. About 10 to 12 human skulls on pedestals surrounding a bone sarcophagus. Just like the first time I ran this module, this group really enjoyed the skull effects, but this story's got enough going on, so I'll leave that one for another time. There is scratching and banging coming from inside the sarcophagus. Johnson, of course, wants to attack it, but someone, I don't remember who, ends up wandering to the back of the room where they find the Heir of Orcus chained up, disguised as Sir Vindictus. The person they are here to find. The heir is a really good liar and convinces them to let her go, when she promptly attacks him. Just like with the previous group, they cast fairy fire on her. This time, I'm gonna take care of that. The heir, not particularly enjoying the red glow she now has, goes after the druid. It was here I noticed she can fly. A little detail I might have missed my first time running this module. I never did manage to catch up with that druid who was really good at hiding. The battle is a pretty standard one, except for the fact that Johnson almost killed everybody midway through. You see, Johnson had the idea to open the sarcophagus in the middle of the battle. I didn't even give him an "are you sure" on this one. "Are you sure" it doesn't work with Johnson. I just tell him it's a really bad idea. Like TPK bad. You see, inside this sarcophagus is a spawn of Caius. If he lets it out before the heir is dealt with, the party will die. It really wasn't the worst idea. As far as he knew, the real Sir Vindictus was in there and would help them. So I don't really fault Johnson for this, but that is the beauty of Johnson. Even when he has an idea that on the surface seems good, it never is. They take care of the spawn and are ready to leave when Johnson gets just one more bright idea. Let's play the final round of You Don't Know Johnson. The party has completed their mission, but Johnson has one more thing to take care of. What do you think it is? I'll remind you once again, Johnson only does the worst things. And this one makes throwing an explosive into a vat of acid look genius by comparison. Yeah, he went up and attacked the statue of Orcus. Keep in mind, this statue has already talked to the party. He knows Orcus is watching. Orcus is like one step below the gods. You don't want to mess with him. My plan was to have Johnson get turned into a weasel or something. You know, nothing major. But then Gramps told us about this madness chart. Johnson rolls a 60. I have no compunction against tampering with the dead in my search to better understand death. This is the guy who had relations with a bee and still thinks it was a good idea. So I knew where this was going and decided to cut it off at the pass. For anyone else, I wouldn't have said it. But for Johnson, I made sure he realized he didn't have to... how do I say this? Yeah, that works. He didn't have to make whoopee with the dead or undead. He sounded relieved, as were the rest of us. Like I said, Johnson has really grown on me, and you can always count on him for some levity. The best part is the player has a great attitude, and he is absolutely going to love this video. Do you know Johnson? Tell me about him. Please. I really want to know. Don't forget, if you like these videos, hit the little notification button so you don't miss any. Thanks for watching, and as always, play your character. Don't let your character play you.